guys? Welcome to Other Battles, Other Things. We're going to go back over the Eric George Scorpion deck versus Paul's Big Stuff Crab deck. How did you feel about the matches overall, Paul? Did the decks match up well in your mind?
Yeah, so it was a pretty comfortable 2-0. Now we're not going to really talk about the first game. We're choosing to sort of not. We're just taking it out of the set of games, right? It's not. There's no meaningful data there, so it's a one game sample size, and it felt like you were sort of in it, but your effects, your cards never properly lined up against my cards, which is not to say that they can't in general. I mean, you have some really powerful personalities. Yufu with his -3/4 is sort of like kind of you can think of him as sort of 7 force for 7 gold. You've got the Forgotten Legacy guy Toshimo, but you never really got those guys online against me. You seem to always be sort of one or two personalities behind. You had some conquer stuff, and you used your box pretty well. I never got to play my Lost in Transit, but I was able to jam through some very powerful Fate cards. So I mean, it felt like a good matchup to me. It felt like this was probably a favorable matchup, but you always have to be careful drawing that conclusion off of a single game, right? Because I can envision a game where I get gold, you get gold, I get gold, you get gold, I get some guys, you get some other guys who maybe have slightly this force, but just smoke me on saturation of meaningful battle effects. And
Yeah,
we never really got to the point to have those battles.
this this deck. So I like this deck a lot. It plays a lot of cool cards. I sort of was gushing a little bit about it as we were playing that it draws a lot of cards and it plays some big attachments and some really powerful guys with powerful printed battle actions. And I think that's more or less where you want to be in the format right now. I think though there was a couple things in this game particularly that it pointed out a couple weaknesses of the deck. And I think number one, and why I've stopped on this turn, is because of planted evidence. So I was really happy to buy Toshimo here, and then you planted it, and then you just planted him off the board. And planted is not a card that's seeing a ton of play. I think people have shied away from it a little bit. But in your deck, the combination of really big guys with some of these limited phase control actions actually works out like really, really well for you. Like clear the way, buy a giant idiot, and smash on through, right?
And this was a really interesting turn because there's actually a pretty sound logic to not play the planted here, to just buy my three guys, don't buy another holding, just buy my three dudes who all cost 9 gold, and then sort of see what happens. Assume you can't defend through my four personalities with your one, independent of the number of attachments you can put down. Though if you had Elephant Cab, you probably would, and then sort of just sit on the planted. But I don't have Ninja in my deck, and I was worried that you might play something like Justice of the Crane or Family Sword or any number of other items to get his chi outside of planted range. And his battle action is really effective against me. It's very much turned on. So I wanted to get him off the board, and I did still have the famous Czar, and I was hoping to maybe flip one more holding, and it worked out. And I think that's one of the things people do with planted evidence is they try to turn it into this just off the charts complete blowout card. And if you've been playing L5R a long time, if you've played in like Samurai Edition and with like hired killers, you'll know that you don't always have to get some super great value. Sometimes it's okay, as with hired killer, to spend a little more to just get a problematic unit out of the way. And I was worried Toshimo was going to be a very problematic unit. So I had the gold, I took him out, and I felt really good about it then.
Yep, I think that's a great analysis. In these big, huge idiot decks, a lot of what the strategy is sometimes is buy a huge guy and then play like force negations and straightens like Way of the Crab and Courage Never Questioned, cards like this. And I think Toshimo is a guy that kind of gets these sorts of decks, and so I was really happy to have him. My next turn, I was going to give him an Elephant Cavalry and take a province. And I was really thinking that was where I wanted to be, and then bam, he was off the table. And
Yep.
because
And
all of
it
my guys were sort of 7 gold, 3 chi, it makes your planet evident. It really turns them on economic value wise. You're only playing 3 more, you get my guy, and then it leaves you with a board presence and me without one.
And it's worth mentioning that when you play these big military decks, you're playing a longer game. You're playing a game that's you're hoping the game sort of pushes into the sixth turn, the seventh turn, because you want to develop all your gold and then start throwing out all your big monsters, right? And to get those strategies to be effective, you need to be able to come online. You need those extra turns. And then this was a case where I was just playing Planet Evidence as a way to ensure I had another turn. Like, for sure, if you have no guys, you're not taking a province. So, I mean, barring Ashlon ambush with other stuff or something. But it's like, it's very unlikely for your opponent to have no personalities and take a province. So it was very much worth the investment to buy myself that extra turn to get that one extra gold, and maybe I waste a little gold, but that development overall was really important because I just started doing exactly what I wanted to do, which is just start flooding the board with big dumb idiots.
All right, so let's jump ahead a little bit, see if I can find where. All right, so let's talk about this retribution. Is this the retribution?
Okay.
No, this is just.
This is your first attack. This
This
is
is
you.
my first. I just took a
I
province.
have.
This isn't the ret yet.
I had 4 guys. You cavalry to take a province.
Yeah,
Nothing
that's
real
all pretty
special there.
straightforward.
My defense was sort of questionable because I had a strength from the board, so I could have maybe defended about your guy, put you to the test for straight action.
Which I wouldn't have had. I was all in on.
Yep.
Yep. I didn't even have. I thought I had a fallback, but I guess I didn't. I mean, so you're saying you could have defended one at each and then first action bow me?
Yeah. Yep. With the strength of the bear. Actually, or I could have just let the determined challenge resolve, then bowed you, and then really got you. But so who knows?
You even played me with the kid gloves. I didn't play a determined challenge this battle.
Yeah, you did. You cavalried away, you played determined challenge. I played negate it with whatever, brazen disregard.
No. I think I thought about doing it. I sort of agonized for a minute about making that play and then didn't.
Okay.
You're thinking a couple turns ahead. All right, so here's the moment. So this is when you got me with Unsettling Gathering, and when you choose to build a deck and when you choose to put in Oriole Clan Vanguard and Elephant Cavalry, this turn will happen to you. It will happen to you at Kotai's. It will happen to you at Casual L5R Knight, and you need to live with that fact when you put those cards in your deck, right?
Absolutely, and there are people that sort of won't play Elephant Cavalry because of it, or they won't invest in big followers, or they'll play things like an Ashlon Ambush instead and say, I want to generate force from my Fate deck, but I don't want it to be attachments that can be stolen. Here it was sort of the double whammy because you'd also invested a opportunity cost card slot on your Dynasty deck to give your guy Conqueror. But it's very much a risk-reward kind of thing where you can say, if they have it, it's bad for me, but I'm going to make them have it. And if they don't have it, I'm going to have this really powerful unit. And there's a back and forth to it. I don't think having a counter like Unsettling Gathering in the format is a bad thing. Yes, it creates a big deleterious swing, but the other side of it is there might not be a really good answer. Especially with him boxing down my lost transits forever and ever.
Right. But you know what else creates a really big deleterious swing? Attaching an Elephant Cavalry to your 4-Force Conqueror person.
Absolutely.
I feel like people forget that a lot,
Yeah, I mean, it's just people want to have their cake and not get fat, I guess. There's not really a good cliche to use there.
This turn, I don't remember the exact sequencing, but you counting housed first, so I could have named Unsettling Gathering off the box.
Yes.
This is a thing with the Scorpion box. I worry that you go back and you think about, if I just done this, if I just done that. Was I supposed to have seen Unsettling Gathering come here? I'm not sure that I was.
Well, and it's one of those situations where if you name Unsettling Gathering, you delay it a turn. You're not putting the effect off forever, and then there's a real argument to saying stopping a limited just isn't very helpful here because I'm still going to just lost in transit to make it so you can't profitably reprisal me. I'm still going to just lost in transit down the Elephant Cavalry and then attack, and you're still probably going to reprisal. I mean, and then I have just another action. There's a real interesting back and forth you can do.
Yeah, and I think I passed on this action. I didn't use the box yet, and so my logic at the time was I was going to box whatever attachment action you threw down, sort of looking at a defense because I had, the 4 force guy here plus inspired leadership for another -3, reprisal to generate force, and then I could even just fall back if everything went terribly. Now he had the Brazen Disregard. I didn't know that was there, but that was sort of my thinking. Is like I was thinking about a defense here, and I even
Yeah,
yeah, I even had the
and
favor too against
it's
Cinnamon.
a yeah. We didn't do a good job, or in my say I mean, you I don't feel did a good job of using your Shibata Sensei favor interactions defensively. It's hard because you never really seem to have any straighten effects. So I don't know if taking your guy down off the board to wander into my one move back effect that has discipline is the proper play. I don't know if it was something that was on your radar and you were choosing to sort of constantly disregard that play. It was just a thought I had.
It was. I mean, it
But
was on my radar. It just never came up.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think I
it's
ever
really
really
tough.
defended.
It's really tough to beat these kinds of big unit decks with a single send home or a single bow. Like that's one of the lessons I tell people. It's like just one bow effect or just one send home effect. Like I'm gonna probably have that covered in some way. Like just looking at my hand at this turn right now, I've got the Brazen Disregard plus the whatever that card is that moves me back in with discipline coming unclean, and then I've got Way of the Crab plus Ring of Air Frustrating. So it's like I've got and creating order. So I've got sort of multiple effects coming at you from multiple angles. So if you're putting your eggs in a single send home, that's probably not going to pay the dividend.
For sure. So you take the thing and you come over and take a province, and then we can jump to the
Yeah, I
battle
get
that.
2 provinces because of
Yep.
the cavalry and the stuff. And we skipped over my sort of heads up play of grabbing the Ring of Water, which I was grabbing just as a sort of pseudo conqueror or potential move in, right? It's
Nice.
just another answer. I had your favorite play on my radar, which is
Hmm.
why for a moment I thought about Ring of Earth, but I was like, no, it'll be opposition. I'd rather just get water because it has that sort of extra. It has that extra dimension. Everybody likes Ring of Earth a lot. It's an interrupt. You keep tempo, but a lot of times the Ring of Water is actually sort of a better card.
Yeah, Ring of Water is a super versatile one that I think sees a little bit less play than the other rings. Maybe not correctly.
Not by me, but other people, yes.
Okay, so you take the two
So
provinces easily.
then I
You
take my
water the
two.
guy
You
home.
prize.
Then I
Yeah.
reprisal, yeah. And so this is where the wheels really came off the card. I think if I had been able to take this province, I would have been in this game pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
Nah, it wouldn't have been great, mind you, but I would have been in the game at least. But the fact, even if I had been able, if my fallback had resolved, I think it would have been okay. But as it stood, the fact that
Yeah.
I lost a guy, you lost basically nothing. I didn't take the province. Like everything went bad.
Right, and it's a really interesting battle because you don't really see when you look at these big decks and you see all these cards and they're sort of reactive, you don't think of them having a lot to do in battle, right? It's like, oh, this Oni can move himself back in, and you've got some move in, and but you're coming at it with a pretty big force number to start, and I had creating order. It's a very powerful card, but I also had strength of bore. So I mean, I had a bow effect, which I never even really needed to play because I'd waited for the crowd with my guy. So it's like you don't when you have big powerful units and enough good reactive cards to you guys, you don't need to be overflowing with like 8 different Sentinel actions. And I think it sort of told us that. But I mean, this battle is really just a testament to the strength of creating order. Creating order was just sort of the card to have sort of a blowout here.
Yeah, I think it's easy to be dismissive of playing like decks that just play a bunch of 5, 6 force guys. But I think at the end of the day, with the advantage of doing that over a deck like this one, where your guys are only 3 or 4 force, you need to give them a detachment, is that there's so little stress on your fate hand at any given point. Like you're insisting that your opponent play 2 or 3 cards or take 2 or 3 actions just to get par with you, and then you can play your creating order, and then you can play your way of the crab, and then that card feels like such a blowout because you did all this work just to reach parity. They play a single card and back to zero.
Yeah, especially if I do it like this, like I did this game where I got to go first and get really solid gold and sort of take my time getting my diesel engine online. These decks, if you put all your eggs in one big basket, there's a chance that things can just sort of go sideways. We see this a lot in Mantis big unit corrupt decks where they're trying to really push the pace and win really fast and use their duels. And it's like, well, if one of those units you gets hit with the Karmic Strike, things can really start to sort of go a little sideways, and you end up losing from a game state that was otherwise very favorable. This deck doesn't, I didn't put out a big risk. I mean, I really sort of kept things humming along, and so that plays slightly differently, but it makes it very tough. Once I have 4 guys out, I'm going to have 4 really solid units.
Yep. And then, let's see what comes up next. I bounce. He gets me pretty bad, and I throw away like some really solid actions there. And that just speaks to, like, now he's up on fate cards and up on force on board. Like, that's not where you want to be in my position here.
Provinted and the flip of the Oracle. This is sort of, we're moving through it a little fast, but it's really sort of cleanup. There's not, I don't know, there's still important plays to be made, and you hang in there because you want to sort of give your opponent the chance to make a mistake, see if there's a way to mount a comeback. My only real question is, on this turn here with the egg, is there some way knowing my head, I don't think there is, but maybe on that turn you just had to go for 2 or 3 provinces, just sort of say, here's hoping.
Yeah, so I was sitting there trying to figure out if there was a way to take 3 this turn, and that was sort of like the hidden path to victory. I don't think I can generate enough force on board is the first problem. So I take a 5 force guy with egg, and then I can attach the horde and the sword. So I'd have 4 units, a 5 force unit. Zansho would go to Province. He's 3 plus 4 is 7. I need to flip anything off.
I think you get into like counting on aberrations to generate X amount of force territory, and now you're in a pretty dicey zone.
Yeah. So my thought was that I initially was going to try to split for 2, but I wasn't convinced that I would be able to. If he defended against, like, my battle actions weren't spread out evenly. Like, I egg his guy, and then I have a 5 force guy with no text, and then I've got a Kage, the Dishonored one there, who has a really good action, a -7 force. I've got a -3, and then I've got, like, a ranged attack doesn't do anything. So if he interacts with one of my guys with a good battle action, or if he just doesn't defend he defends against the other one, I'm not sure I can do anything. Like, I'm just lower force and too bad. Which is not really where you want to be.
It's absolutely a bad place, but I'm not sure. I mean, looking at the way the game progressed and just sort of looking at where I'm at with the Oracle in play, and I feel like you're in a this needs to work or I'm going to lose, right? So one of the plays I think players need to make more often is these sort of like, I probably can't win the game, but this is the only way I win the game, right?
Yeah,
sort of drawing it out and hoping only works. Like, you can only hope to draw to an out if there's an actual out. And I don't know what your actual out is with your Fate and Dynasty deck. Like, is there some, like, I guess if you go like runner, planted evidence, while flipping a guy each time.
Well, I'm only playing a singleton. I think that if I had gotten... So what I ended up doing here was I attacked, I egged, I swung, I tried to kill Renyu. Like, had I killed Renyu, would I have gotten somewhere? Maybe.
Yeah.
I forget. So because your next turn was because your next flip was so on. Like, it was so on. You know, you got Nakaru plus
2 guys. I got a Nakaru and I got an Ogre and a Nakaru.
Yeah.
I don't know what I lost it. That's back there.
And then you had the bow as well. I think that was pretty much. I don't think there was any.
Yeah, I mean,
number of things.
The game felt to me when the reprisal battle happened, and I swapped my Masajaru and a couple of fake cards for your guy and a couple of fake cards. Like, that felt to me like the swing. Like, I felt like I just taken 2 provinces and blunted your reprisal attack, gotten rid of a unit. Like, it felt pretty clear to me that I was firmly in the driver's seat there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you feel like you're in the driver's seat and they come back. And I think it's just a testament to Unsettling Gathering and Planet Evidence being really good cards and the power of starting with 5 gold and playing big units.
Well, it's a power of all those things working in concert. I think that the wrong thing to
Sure.
take from this game is to say like, well, Unsettling Gathering is busted. Why is anybody playing Arc?
Yeah, I'm
Um,
being very simplistic about it. I actually thought this was a really riveting game too. I thought this was the sort of game that exemplifies the sort of fun strategy back and forth, interesting gameplay patterns and thought processes that you get in Arc that you don't get quite as much in Strict.
for sure. I will say though that so the Masajar, when you blunted the ret, it's important to point out that the fake cards that you played were all discipline fake cards, and it really points out
Yes.
discipline is this huge game changing thing that we have in L5R now, and discipline cards are slowly getting better and better, and as they get better and better, like they're just included in every deck because you play an action, but you don't really play it. You know, you lost no card advantage in that battle.
Yeah, that's the right phrase. There's card advantage. There's this sort of shibboleth of card draw wins games, but that's not actually true. The reason card draw wins games is because it sort of over time generates card advantage. And card advantage, just having more cards, playing more cards, having more cards on the board, doing more things, is how you take control of an L5R game or any card game, really. And discipline cards provide some really great card advantage. And it's just sort of a virtual card advantage. And for a long time, their effects were kind of lesser. But I don't think that's the case with the discipline card that Crab Deck has played. I mean, they're all just really solid cards.
Well, and
It's
with the
like,
new order,
yes, I
we
will take
got
improper papers.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got discipline in proper papers. We got discipline move
Sort
a
of
guy
back
into
to
the
the front.
battle. Yeah, back to the front. We got
Yeah.
discipline. We got discipline breaking the rhythm. Like we got a ton of crazy good cards, and these are going to be the ones that we're going to be reaching for the next year or 2 years if fetch. I mean, if extended ends up being a thing.
Well done.
So this was enough. Another battles, other things. If I missed any egregious play errors or if we missed any lines that you think that I should have taken, leave a comment. Or if you think that Paul could have kicked my butt even worse if he had done some other set of things, let us know. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Give us deck ideas for other decks. I like to play other people's decks. Paul does too. Watching us brew week in, week out probably gets tiresome at some point, huh? All right.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Yep. Peace out, everybody.